and get it. Give me all you got, so come and get it. I only need one shot, so come and get it. So come and get it.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for more Overwatch action. If you're here, you know exactly what this is all about. We have the Kauza Power-Up Cup here tonight. I'm Ultrism, and joined for probably the first time I've ever gotten to sit next to this amazing man. You probably know him, you probably love him by now. He's got more followers than me on Twitter, so you definitely know him better than me. It's Dreamer. Welcome, my friend.
Hello, thank you very much for what a great intro. I do love that. Yeah, I'm super excited to be here. As you said, it is sort of my first time. I've done casting before, but joining the Overwatch community, super excited for the matches today.
All right, so tell us a little bit about yourself for those of you who don't know. You've done some casting. Where do you come from?
Right, I was a journalist. That's kind of where I came up in the gaming scene. I'm obviously covering a lot of stuff in South Africa and sort of overseas. But people will probably know me more now as the co-owner of Nibble Esports, a little org that does things in a few other games. But yeah, that's where people generally sort of know me from. I'm just, like I said, casting something I've really been passionate about. I love the games. I love doing different casts across different titles. And so, yeah, I'm excited for this year, but especially excited for tonight, just to kick things off during load shedding. So if you notice why the room seems a bit dark, yeah, we're making it work in South Africa.
Well, that's the beauty of the Power-Up Cup, right? Just to bring a little bit of light into people's lives. So that's all you're going to find out about Dreamer for tonight. What we're here to actually find out about is the Inglorious Blasters versus Blackwatch, round 3 of this competition. And it is a Swiss stage. The big aspect about this is that both of these teams have played 2 games and won both of them, which means that this is kind of a deciding match. Both of them looking so incredibly strong. Whoever wins here tonight guarantees themselves a spot in that playoff stage.
Yeah, listen, I'm excited about that. I think when you have a clash at the top of the table, it really brings up the stakes. And it's a good way to kind of set the tone for the rest of the cup. So definitely keen to see what the teams bring out. I know there's quite a lot of strong players in each team. I'm still obviously familiarizing myself with them, but the one that I will obviously know will be Sterling Ames. One of the cracked DPS players, for the team. I'm excited to see how he does. I'm obviously not biased. I'm here to watch a great performance.
Yeah, well, you don't have to be biased. I think Sterling has definitely earned himself a reputation. If we do look at the rest of that Inglorious Blasters team, Nick at the top there in the tank role. We got Sterling and Antiablo, again, another person in this, well-known in this ZA Overwatch scene. And then Epicornicus and Atsu. Atsu, a player that I've never actually come across before. But the big focus going to be on those 2 DPS players. Sterling, like you say, probably one of the best DPS players in the country across titles. This guy is Sterling Ames for a reason. He puts in so many hours and has really refined that ability towards himself. On the other side, though, going up against him, Blackwatch, definitely not strangers to the South African Overwatch scene, and probably a more full roster across the board, where we have Elven Slayer taking up that tank role, L and Lavius on the DPS, and I got to cast them a week or 2 ago, and they looked fantastic. And then Honey taking up the captaincy role there, one of the newer players as well on that support role, and then Vertigo, the previous off tank, who has now taken up the role of support and knows what it's like to look after a team together.
Listen, I'm excited. I will say this: the names of these players is absolutely incredible, and the team names. I'm gonna hand it to the community right now. Great! It's gonna be fun casting this, just coming up here, highlighting different player names.
Well, I'm just making sure that Inglorious Blasters stays that way, and I don't end up swearing on stream by accident.
Let's keep this PG. Okay, let's keep this family friendly on this good Sunday evening cast.
We'll try. We'll absolutely try, even if I just call them the Blasters or Inglorious halfway through this. That's where we're going to stick with it. Blackwatch, on the other hand, probably going to be a little bit easier, especially considering they're from the Overwatch lore themselves. And I must admit, as far as who's going to take this, I don't know right now. Both of these are so cracked, but I do believe that it's going to come down to the individual skills of the Blasters versus the team cohesive nature coming out of Blackwatch.
Well, look, I mean, I think taking a look at sort of some of the map picks, I'm sure we're trying to jump into that as well. I think map picks will have quite a big influence. A lot of sort of the meta and Overwatch is finding those different flash points and those choke points and which control points are better or not, and how players adapt to each map. I think will have a big influence on sort of the outcome of the game. As I said, for me, getting to watch a lot of these players, for the very first time for some of them, I'm just excited to see how everybody gets into the game. I think also one of the difficult things, specifically in ZA, is getting ready to switch on when you're playing and being able to get into match mode. So I think it doesn't matter who the players are and their skill levels. I'm sure everyone's really good. I think that is always going to be a big thing, is making sure players are ready to play at a high level.
Yeah, it's about how you show up on the day. I absolutely love that point. And where they're going to have to show up for today is we start, of course, with a control point. Ilios being that one at the beginning of the day, and a very set map pool throughout the day. Blizzard World, not one of the most favorite maps that players know, and certainly opens things up a little bit towards how good in general are you as a player. Colosseo, the most infamous push map. Then we go through to Route 66, also kind of a very niche version of a payload map, and then of course back to Nepal if we do need a game number 5. Any particular maps that stand out to you there, Dreamer?
Look, I think when it comes to maps, and I definitely bring in my own personal experience. I think Inglorious is always a good one to sort of kick things off. Being a control map, I think one of the cool things is, for example, the Pitfall map. That always makes it quite exciting when you have the environment to sort of play around. Then doing a lot of the research as well, a lot of narrow pathways, and what that means is, again, from a DPS perspective, that's going to be really interesting in terms of taking advantage of players and teams sort of put into small corners. And then obviously in terms of, I guess, sort of sightlines, Ilios gives you a lot of room for DPS players. So I think that's going to be quite a big map to kind of set the tone. Blizzard World, I'm a little unsure of how that's going to go. I can't say I'm personally a fan of the map either. And as for the rest, they're all pretty standard. There was some pretty great games in the past that have been played on those, and I think they can go either way. So yeah, we'll have to see again what the players bring to the table.
What the players bring to it. Very, very excited. Blizzard World, in my opinion, also opens up the opportunity to bring so many different map picks, or at least character picks. It's not one that has a very defined meta. It doesn't have some specific high grounds that you're really worried about, that you need to take control of, that kind of push your hero pick one way or another, where you need to get something like a Winston out, something like that. I like that aspect. Ilios a little bit more open towards that. You've got a lot of environmental kills. You've got a lot more of, especially on the lighthouse, a nice enclosed situation where on the point you can go for more of a brawl style, and you just have to get the team there. So running something very unique or very specific with the team comp in mind, something like a Symmetra, does allow you to TP towards that. Lucio, very popular across that, and Ball, Wrecking Ball, a very, very favorite hero right now across the world, kind of because of those big changes towards him. One of the big things we have seen, and I've seen it in multiple regions now, is the pharmacy pick. The Pharah now backed up by that Mercy that's starting to heal themselves while they heal their teammates, and be able to heal up a little bit faster when your targets are under 50% HP. Dreamer, how have you felt that has impacted, and is that sort of the idea that we're going back to when it comes into maybe these two teams and how they match up, especially when you've got to take someone like Sterling into consideration, who's an amazing hit scan, and do you really want to test him when you go up in the air?
No, look, 100%. I think obviously for people that have been a bit far removed from the scene, obviously with the changes in the lineup to sort of 5 players and going with a double support, double DPS and a tank, I think it's a lot harder to sort of mitigate a lot of that explosive players. But again, I think for me, what I'm quite excited to see is how everybody does their map, their character picks to play one to the strengths of the team, to the strengths of the map, but then also to think about, hey, if for example, with Inglorious Blasters, if you're facing them, Sterling's going to be on the other side, you'll be thinking of what tanks will work really well in that kind of gameplay, when that's a player that's going to be very explosive, that's going to put a lot of pressure on the map. Again, as for me, I'm here to really just kind of, I'm quite interested to see sort of what are the kind of picks that are going on there. Obviously, there's been a lot of changes with patches and sort of the tier lists, and I definitely took a look at some of them. As I said, the Hamster is definitely up there now, which is a really, really exciting one. Doomfist actually is one that's suggested quite often for Route 66. So, that's also a pick that they could definitely bring out in there. Look, we'll have to see. I think the Farm Mercy one is always going to be a difficult one. It's been frustrating since the beginning of this game back in Overwatch 1. Let's see what the teams do to counter that if it comes out.
Well, the big difference from Overwatch 1 now to Overwatch 2 that I have noticed as we are going to be going into the game very shortly, ladies and gentlemen, is the big difference is the double tank. In the past, you used to be able to run something like a Diva, which you could then dedicate a single person completely to mitigating 2 people on the other team. Now you don't really always want to sacrifice your main stalwarts in that front line. You've got to be able to both control what space your entire team is able to take, be able to peel for your backline while trying to mitigate that damage. And so it's changed quite a lot as we are going to be going in there. We go to Inglorious now. It is going to be Ruins at the beginning here. And if we are going to see a Pharaoh, this is probably one of the best places where we'll see it, being able to take guidance behind the pillars. Meanwhile, it also does open up the opportunity for something like the Widowmaker.
Look, I think a strong Widow is one of the most terrifying things to play against, and also super, super frustrating. As you said, I mean, one of the things with when he was the double tank meta, Diva was really great at soaking up pressure. But as you see, we'll have to see obviously sort of what the picks are coming out. You did call the Symmetra, that's already coming out on Inglorious Bastards, followed with a Cassidy, Wrecking Balls, and Yata, and is that Brigitte actually that's coming in there. Well, that's a surprising one. I don't know how I feel about that. Is that a strong pick?
It's actually been really strong recently because of the Zenyatta. The Zenyatta allows you to add the damage to the distance, making up for the lack of range of Brigitte. But the Brigitte is 100% anti-tank. And with the prevalence now of Wrecking Ball, you've got to have someone being able to take it out. And there, we don't even need to see a Brigitte for either team.
It right away.
It's the knock off the map right there. Elven Slayer, a little bit sad in chat there, being able to come through and just realizing he lost the beginning of the duel. And that's going to change things up. Another interesting duel going to be between this Echo and this Tracer right there at the beginning.
Echo's been an interesting pick as well. It definitely an explosive character to use, but again, quite difficult. Not as popular in terms of tier list players, but we have to see how it goes. Environmental kills as well, something you already spoke about at the beginning, already taken an impact in the teams as we start to battle for control and to kind of set the tone.
Well, Blasters taking first control of the point now, up to 15%, and able to now start spreading out. Decide to just back up a little bit. Their entire comp is a kind of inviting the opponents into it. Poke from as far of a distance as possible, but what they really need to worry about is this Pharah. Certainly someone that is going to be difficult to take down. Sterling on that wonderful Cassidy is going to put some pressure, but when they've lost Atsu at the beginning, that's the Discord orb gone, and the Pharah keeps on going.
And the Wrecking Ball absolutely coming in, and again, just being so dominating, so much pressure. The Pharah as well, still putting in a lot of damage, getting those kills and getting those picks when they need to. Again, is it translating to them kind of getting control of the map? Like for now it is. I mean, they're doing pretty well in that regard. But again, I think it's also about the flow of the game. Will the Blackwatch be able to come back and take back control? But so far, it's looking pretty good for Inglorious Bastards.
Interesting aspect from these two teams is that neither team really has someone who wants to sit on point and soak a lot of damage. It's kind of they've got to win the fight first and then take it right now. And an optimistic play from Hissy to be able to try and get onto that point, use that barrage, but no one out there, and eventually gets taken out by the very late Deadeye from the Cassidy. Sterling holding that for so long and then following him through to take control of this point. Is up to Elven Slayer, desperately wanting to try and stick around there, keep that percentage going, but an even swap now back to Inglorious Blasters.
And one of the things you even said as well is like you look for the DPS players to make a lot of impact, but they both ults weren't used to their most effective ability, right? Pharah didn't really get too many picks with a barrage, and then Cassidy obviously only getting the pick on Pharah, which is great, to get rid of the DPS player like a Pharah. But yeah, a bit of a missed opportunity there with the ults. As you said, teams are kind of sitting back, not wanting to soak up damage, but then you have the Wrecking Ball coming in, and once again, just so much pressure on the map.
Well, at this stage, the Transcendence being popped out there, this is one of the big aspects of something like a Zenyatta, is that Atsu able to clear out so many of those mines and mean that Elven Slayer not getting a lot out of it. But Elven Slayer at least did open up that point, kind of shoved everyone from Inglorious Blasters off, and now it's going to be the Blasters being able to put their mines down and stop this percentage picking up, but they haven't been able to cover the point enough. The percentage has turned over, and it's now going to be once more the Blasters being able to take it. A nice start off here from Quickly, though. Manages to get some of those mines, some of those picks at the beginning, and in fact, it's the Brig versus Farah battle, not something that we've seen.
Absolutely going in to make sure to keep the point. Wow, look at that. That is actually a great take. I mean, that was a great retake. I mean, that happened so quickly as well, so fast. Obviously, the Hamster coming in, trying to kind of disrupt things and stop the team from being able to form a comeback. So this looking pretty good for them, sitting on 95%.
Hissy managing to just pop up for a second, take out Anziablo, but the problem is that the long-range damage coming in from Inglorious Blasters, Atsu and Sterling working together to separate head from shoulders for a lot of the Blackwatch side. And it's up to Honey and Elven Slayer now trying to stick around, trying to hold possession of this point. It is going to be the bombs coming out, but quickly taken out. Atsu gets a couple of kills here, and it's secure. Point number 1 for the Blasters.
That was a great game. That was a lot of, it started off just so much craziness right at the beginning. But as you said, the team seemed to kind of hold back a bit in terms of no one really sitting there wanting to soak up all of the damage. But Inglorious Blasters, and I love how I'm the one that completely butchers the team name as we've been going into the match.
I didn't know
that was a really great play. I really had did it, and I was like, you know what, I've committed to this. This is who I am now. But look, that was a great play. I think Inglorious Blasters really just kept up the tempo. How did their retakes really well? It was a really clean team performance. But again, let's see what happens now with the switch over. Again, environmental damage is going to be a big thing here. Being bumped off the edges usually when someone has loose show. Let's see how this goes.
Once more, no real big change-ups between these two teams. We are seeing Lavius going across onto that Cassidy from the beginning. So a bit of a matchup between the two Cassidys. Antiablo sticking around on that Tracer. No one really favoring the big environmental kills besides the tanks. Hissy going to be the one being able to put the damage into these small little rooms if Inglorious Blasters ever wants to try and take a cover for themselves and decides to go on the aggressive, following up on Elven Slayer's initial play. But it being taken down so quickly, you go too far, you don't get the kills. Sterling is going to be there and have your number, and now he's able to start putting pressure on the rest of the team, and it's kept up so well by these healing packs from Apricornicus.
I mean, this is exactly what we were talking about. Having an explosive player like Sterling, how do you counteract that? Far was being aggressive there, trying to push up and stop them from getting onto point, but Sterling punished them. And so there they are, kind of being in a far better position. But having said that, though, Blackwatch has control of the point as it stands. I mean, already sitting on 15%, so it's clearly worked out in their favor.
Yeah, they went quickly to the points, and that did give them the opportunity to start building it up in the beginning. Now Blast is going to be able to turn it around. They were focused on getting the kills and eventually get the long-term possession of it, but they're already a quarter of the map behind. It's going to be up to them to now try and control it, and once more going on the aggression, trying to stop anyone from Blackwatch even being able to get to it, and the long drawn-out fights now going to be favoring the Inglorious Blasters.
And you know what I really love about Overwatch, and it's why it's a game that I still think has so much potential, and it really just can bring such a great crowd, is the flow of the game. How games start off high impact, and there's that moment and that lull when teams regroup and they get back on point. As you see it now, these teams are trying to create that that sort of overwhelming damage, and my goodness, absolutely unbelievable.
That was savage there. The Zenyatta kick being buffed up means that you get them so much further, and Elven Slayer going for that health pack just goes rolling past it. Eventually gets taken down. Still Blackwatch in a healthy position right now. Hissy going to be able to take out Antiablo. They did have to use the res into this, and very difficult to get to the point with those mines in the way, but the triple kill coming out of that barrage, taking apart the Inglorious Blasters backline, and that does mean Blackwatch going to be able to retake the point for themselves eventually.
That was absolutely stunning. From the Zenyatta kick, which absolutely just sets the tone. For Farah to come in again, using the alternate, such a powerful play like that, that's the kind of play that you need to be doing. And that's how you shift the momentum over to your side. And now they're getting back onto the scoreboard with the points, sitting on just past 40% now. But hey, Inglorious Blasters is going to come back, trying to take the point over as quickly as possible.
Oh, Lavius struggling to get onto it, and Antiablo, but the Suzu saving Lavius's life. The stick was there. It was a great play by Antiablo to be able to hold it out for so long. but counted out. An amazing play from Vertigo, and now Vertigo dropping that Kitsune Rush, combining it with the bombs, means that Blackwatch has a lot here to be able to take it out. The Elven Slayer put under pressure on the point, but backed up by the healing. Eventually we get Sterling trying to find someone around the corner, does manage to take out Honey, and going to be there to secure Elven Slayer's kill as well. So kills back and forth. Still, there's not a lot of people left on the point here for Inglorious Blasters. They've got the kill. The boop is off the edge there. Yuku death. Not yet. He's still got the swing. Going to be able to come back on. And now, hopefully for Sterling, he's going to be able to get a couple of people back on this. And they have the reinforcements have come out. Red taking control of the point and getting the point more and more towards that percentage.
You know what I really love about the way Inglorious Blasters are playing is they're so fast to get back on point. It almost feels like they just kind of go, cool, everybody just rush in. And it really looked like Blackwatch were able to hold on to the point, but that wasn't the case. They did get overpowered. Man, that Q knock was absolutely great by far. So close to getting away with it.
All right, again, Sterling being able to try this. In fact, it's Lavius, my apologies, who's going to go for the high noon play, does manage to get out Apricornicus, but it's a trade on the point. And the big thing about the point is that the percentage building up, secured a little bit more now.
No one's on it. No one's
there. They can't get on it. There's blinds in the way. And you got Sterling running interference before people can even get there.
Like Inglorious Blasters are just doing it so fast. They're just so quick when it comes to the retake. I mean, unbelievable. And here we go with the play of the game.
Hissy getting this triple kill with the barrage, I think. Actually, no, I don't think this was the triple barrage kill. That was on Linehouse. No. Instead, just going for the direct rockets, pops Apricornicus up into the air and takes him out there. What a way, but unfortunately, just not enough for Blackwatch to be able to secure that. And it does mean game number 1 of this best of 5 goes the way of Inglorious Blasters. And you seem to have become quite a fan of this side.
Listen, I love the absolute desire to just take back the point as soon as possible. I really felt like the way it would work was, you know, Inglorious Blasters are there first, they get the point. Blackwatch does a really great coordinated effort. You know, again, when you saw the likes of Farah coming in with those kind of shots, to getting those kind of picks gives them an opening. They try to get back on point. Maybe they hold on to about, you know, 25%. But then Inglorious Blasters come right back swinging. You know, I think having hamsters on either side makes a big impact as well. You can see the way they can run into friends, keep management of the point, and I think that's what helped Blasters get to where they need to. They managed their point control a lot better. They were there a lot faster. They kept holding on to it for a lot longer, and you obviously saw that turn out to a great win for them.
Well, the big thing that both those balls ensure is that there's no real big grouped up players, right? There's no team that's able to really sit together and try and slug it out as a 5v5. It kind of dissolves the entire thing down to these little 1v1 duels. And with the fact that Inglorious Blasters has got such proficient DPS, it makes it kind of difficult to really rely on your players to be able to take those duels. We saw there Antiablo versus Lavius at one stage. Antiablo doing so well to avoid the Cassidy shots, eventually turns around, gets the stick. It didn't secure the kill, but that seems to be the kind of tempo that's what's happening between these two teams. And it might be up to Blackwatch to perhaps rethink how they want to take these fights and whether they want to rely on duels against this lineup.
Yeah, no, look, and obviously we're moving on to the next map, but I think Blackwatch actually played really well. I do think they had a really solid play. They were really, you know, I think they've got something they can take going into Blizzard World now. And as you said, it's not a map that everybody's super familiar with and has set strategy. So this could be the opening they need to bring the game back, or bring the scores back and bring them level as we head into map 2.
Oh, how are you feeling about? Are you starting to see the power of that Brigida lineup? I mean, when your Brigida's even having the space to chase down a Pharah, it means that you can just hold that backline. And we saw the lack of efficacy already, or the lack of impact from the wrecking balls to be able to quickly burst down someone. When you got the whip shot to be able to knock them away during the pile driver, when you got the slams, the shield slams to be able to put in that extra little bit of burst damage, it makes it harder for them to get away. And those healing packs coming through a little bit more. Now with that instant burst heal after the last patch means that you can save someone who's kind of spread out in those fights. And it seems like the Blast is going to be going for it once more, and even in fact inspiring Vertigo to swap across to it.
Look, I mean, and this is going to be a great map. I think what's exciting about this is you do have the control point because it's a hybrid map. It is control that then goes into payload. That'll force teams to group up. Obviously, when you have the payload, you want to be on it to keep it moving. So that'll make it quite interesting. Like I said, I think Blackwatch have been playing pretty well. The team comps didn't work out quite the way they wanted to, with the far mercy. But yeah, this is going to be a way more interesting map. I think obviously again with the hybrid game mode that we're going into. And yep, we're kicking it off already, where we have Blackwatch on the defense. Let's see if they can hold back Inglorious Blasters, who have been really good at taking the points. So this is already looking quite in their favor.
Quite an interesting fact that Inglorious Blasters deciding not to change much up, just going to be sticking with that Wrecking Ball. They do manage to get the first pick out there. Lavius coming straight back up, but Vertigo taken out straight away afterwards. Atsu has been doing phenomenally well. Haven't really seen a lot of Atsu unless it's a player that's changed their name, but certainly such a wonderful addition to this team lineup who's been able to constantly put in damage and certainly obviously has the DPS proficiency that a lot of the team does. I don't know if Sterling has been coaching the team, but it has been doing well. And now talking about Sterling walking forwards, cleaning up a couple there, and Inglorious Blasters in their first push already on the point and taking it cleanly.
I mean, this is exactly what we saw in the previous map already, right? They know how to take the point. Are they able to do the payload and push it forward? I mean, we'll have to see. I think with the amount of firepower they have, and you can definitely feel like their DPS is getting into their stride. I think Atsu, what I really love is really just making players all over the world growing at the idea that people are going, you see, I can be a battle support. Let's go. I want to see Moria with 0 healing coming up, taking players from the side of Inglorious Blasters.
Guys in the chat, please don't use Dreamer as your inspiration on how to play this right now. He's not a coach.
I am a pocket Moira support. Yes, I am that player.
Take inspiration from Atsu, please, at this stage. Just go on the Zen, one of the trickiest heroes to go, and make it work, because right now Inglorious Blasters certainly making it work, and I gotta give credit right now to their Wrecking Ball player, Quig fan. I assume that's how you pronounce that. That was not how it was written.
I'm very proud. I'm very impressed with how confidently you just do that pronunciation.
At some stage, you just got to go in with the confidence. It's actually Nick is the easier way. We're getting from production is the easier way to say it. But Quig fan is the way I'm going with it. And
that's
if you don't want me to say that badly,
yeah.
If you want me to say it properly, give me proper pronunciations. That's the beauty of being a cast. Going into this, it is Quig fan, Nick, taking an aggressive stance up on this high ground, and in fact pushing back the team so far that the payload has finally hit that first point already.
And just completely taking out the Widowmaker right at the back. I mean, the fact that, again, the firepower that's coming out of Inglorious Blasters right now, I mean, at this point, I'm pretty sure they've gotten around maybe 8 kills unanswered. So to have that kind of a stretch, they're pushing the payload super quickly. I mean, already hit the first checkpoint, racing towards, the finish line. It's not looking great for Blackwatch. I do think they need to take a look at some of their strats, maybe look at the team comp, maybe adjust their playing style, because it's just not working at the moment.
Well, right now, Lavius being able to pick up a kill and then eventually straight away hunted down by Antiablo, it means that Inglorious Blasters with this lineup just has the ability to get in and really put pressure no matter what distance you're standing away from the front lines of the fight. And Blackwatch kind of being caught out from that. Lavius is someone who wants to have that space, and meanwhile the Wrecking Ball, it is big to be able to play this. Now we see Nick being able to go in there, put some pressure on the front lines. With 140 HP, he does still have, of course, that healing orb on him. So going to be able to pick back up quickly, and has the shield that's also going to regenerate on its own. Sterling, meanwhile, taking a very aggressive lineup, and so far Inglorious Blasters kind of just shoving Blackwatch back into their own spawn.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't even think at one point if I'm not mistaken, I did see Sterling switch off to Widowmaker quickly and then switch back to Cassidy. So they're really playing quite fluidly, but again, very much believing in their team. And believing, I mean, the fact that, support players are coming in, I mean, it's absolutely so difficult to compete with them. Sterling going off again and getting another kill. Chaser from Inglorious Blasters getting another kill. Lavius tries to answer back with a kill, but a pick is not going to help when you're trying to stop a team from moving the payload.
Individual jewels once more is what Blackwatch are trying to take right now, and it's not going to help them get together. No big team fights there. We did see an attempt from Elven Slayer to go for that Gravitic Flux, but it was really not being able to follow up by anything else. I think that the Blasters just putting so much pressure in the backline on Diablo and Nick being able to work together just means if you're not standing right with your team next to the people who are meant to be peeling for you, like Vertigo's Brigitte, you're just being taken apart.
No, look, that was quite a brutal, definitely a brutal round to go with. And obviously now they're on the side where they need to take over the point, which they are capable of doing. They've shown they've done it before in the previous map. So I do think they're able to do that if they play their style of gameplay. But to push that payload with the kind of firepower they're going against, they need to switch it up. They need to look at maybe some different picks. I personally would love to see a Reinhardt. I think you need someone that's going to steady the team, because at the moment those individual battles are not going the right way. As I said, there was a point where Inglorious Blasters had 8 kills unanswered, and you're going to need to have sustaining gunfire to ensure that you can actually push the payload here. So I think maybe they need to look at their team comp, maybe try to switch it off. I don't know if FAR is working quite as well as they would have liked to. The DPS is there's some picks, but you need to have a lot of DPS. It needs to be a lot more consistent, given how aggressive Inglorious Blasters are being right now.
Yeah, at this stage, it's that aggression that's really punishing Blackwatch. And it's going to be interesting to see how they adapt towards that. Do you just go for like a really niche pick just to take out someone like the Wrecking Ball who's causing you problems, something like a Sombra to be able to hack them out there? I mean, they tried something like the Brigitte to be able to really reinforce that backline, something like an Ana even to get a nice heal on it, because right now Nick, look at this aggression, charges through Lavius having no point in this fight right now, not being able to get anywhere close to the front line or take some shots there, and it means that when the team reinforces and Inglorious Blasters backs up, they are able to just control this payload now, and poor Lavius once more under pressure, being picked up by the Mercy, does in fact find the space to take out Sterling. Okay, that's the way to do it. Ignore the Wrecking Ball in your face and just keep your sides down long range.
I mean, that's exactly it. See, they're doing some great picks, but again, it's just a quick pick. Although, as I say that, they do come with another kill, but no, Inglorious Blasters answers back with 4 kills. And so that's just the way that the game's going at the moment. I think it's always great for a team to have a strategy and stick to it, and not to deviate too much, because again, you want to try to warm up, get into the flow, but I do think you don't want to be going into this best of 5, 2 games down. It just puts your whole team on the back. I do think they need to switch it up. They do have a Lucio that they switched out from the Kiriko into the Lucio support. I do think that's going to help them a bit with some sort of sustainability. Lucio with his AoE healing, but when you have a Wrecking Ball that is just going all on your face, oh, wow.
Okay, Lavius, that's one aspect of it. He finally found some space that while the Wrecking Ball and another one on Diablo, goodbye. Now charging for the Mercy and eventually knocks him out. That's the way to do it. Eventually, it seemed like Nick was just charging after Vertigo, and Vertigo is the Lucio, and maybe not the person you need to be shutting down because they don't have the same kill potential. Instead, it's Lavius. An amazing bit of head scan work from him, being able to take out lots there, and it's going to come down to just a little bit left on this point. We see a bit of a reinforcement coming out from the Inglorious Blasters. Atsu wanting to take this duel versus the Pharah, and he comes out successful, in fact. That is amazing. So Blackwatch unable to secure this point just yet, margins away from it, and then eventually it does look like there is going to be the reinforcement. Lavius trying once more to get back onto this. It is the Transcendence though, keeping everyone up and alive. Some beautiful direct rocks coming out from Hissy.
There it is.
And eventually they secure the points.
That was so close. I was really feeling it for Blackwatch there, because again, they did well when they switched it up, have a Lucio. So when the hamster's going after Lucio, as he said, the kill potential won't really be there. Lucio can bounce him away, can speed away, wall run. They played something different. It took Inglorious Blasters by surprise, and then they almost threw it away, trying to go for the 1v1s again, where you're not going to win when a support player is going to just out DPS you there. But they've managed to get the payload, they've got it pushing now, and now it becomes the next difficult part, trying to keep the momentum going and not lose out and lose the momentum or lose any waves of players too quickly. And so far they're seeming to be doing all right.
Oh, there we did see Hissy paying their own life there to keep up from Sterling taking out the Mercy. Good play to protect the captain of Honey. The problem is, though, Inglorious Blasters just seem to be doing so much with every one of their characters. They did leave the payload to make a little bit of progress while they won that fight, but eventually just moving around together, finding individual picks, and then calling for a couple of reinforcements, and people eventually just being able to group up together. Now comes the next checkpoint. Blackwatch struggled for so long. They've only got 2.5 minutes left in this game to be able to come out there, and Hissy being stuck by that means that eventually is going to go down by Sterling. Once more, look at the aggressive positioning taken up by the Blasters.
And I think that aggressive positioning is something that could be punished. Having said that, I think when players are playing this well, as you've seen, Inglorious Blasters, like everybody's firing. There's not really a single sort of weak point. It does make it difficult to go, okay, they're playing aggressive, let's just focus on the payload. You can't even get there at this point because you just die before you're there. I mean, Lava getting completely taken out as a Widowmaker at the back. I really want to see Blackwatch try to come back from this. The Lucio change definitely did help, but it's obviously not enough. Something else needs to change. They do need to be on the payload at the end of the day because nothing happens if you're not pushing that forward. So maybe there's some change in hero picks that they can choose to help them do that job. I mean, what would you recommend? Because obviously the Lucio change was helpful, and I think it answered the hamster bit, but...
At this stage, you got to just stop taking the individual jewels because it is painful to watch how good Inglorious Blasters is at being able to take these out now. And eventually, it seems Blackwatch going to be trying to unify a little bit more. But even when you start getting these little picks onto someone like Antiablo, there's no one left for Blackwatch to come together. Yeah. So being able to get a more cohesive, more unified lineup, even just something like a Ramatra has been showing a lot of favor in that, is get a big person to really rally around. They tried it with something like a Sigma when they were on defense, but right now kind of just losing this pick battle. They can't focus on the long range damage of the Blasters because you've got someone like the Wrecking Ball in the back line being able to push you out of hiding whenever you want, or really confirm the kills that anyone's putting in damage. Atsu doing a good job of, again, once more putting in damage from such a distance and keeping themselves so safe. Blackwatch needs to either go on the offensive themselves, which they tried to do now, counted out instantly by the Transcendents. But the problem is that there is just no kills being confirmed by Blackwatch.
Yeah, and you see Hissy switch over to the Echo, which I think is great. I think that needs to be happening a bit more, just being a bit more proactive with the picks. With the character picks. Hissy did get a pick off that, but again, as you said, it's just one pick. Inglorious Blast is able to sort of regroup, or no one's even by the point to utilize it. And if you just look at that again, I mean, the hamster's just running riot.
It's not just the hamster though. Like, look at the timing of that attack. Was that as the hamster came over the top, Antiablo was also there on the tracer, and between the two of them, within a second, they're able to chew through the back line. Now's a good time though. Blackwatch making an effort to try and charge forward. Antiablo going to be picked back up, but there's more of his players going down around him. Antiablo goes down once more. Blackwatch, they need to get to the point. They've got 3 seconds right now, and they're still taking jewels. Someone has managed to touch there. Someone has touched. Elven Slayer now just kind of separating off this fight means that Nick gonna go back. Oh, Sterling getting popped up in the air. Somehow Hissy uses the light post to be able to block out there, but it is going to be still Inglorious Blasters cleaning up this point and securing a second map in a row.
That was just an absolute... I mean, Inglorious Blasters, we did say they have the firepower. They showed it there, as you said, and we've been saying. Everyone on the team absolutely just completely powering through, and here we go, the Wrecking Ball, player of the game.
Once more gets up into the air, is able to chew through anyone, and being able to pop people up like this is so powerful when you got someone like Antiablo to be able to chew down half an HP pool, right? That's the thing about Tracer, is that being able to one-clip someone is very difficult. Being a Wrecking Ball and being able to just slam someone and then be able to chew them through on your own, very difficult. But when you start combining the two of those together, man, that's a powerful combo, and they're executing it so quickly together.
No, I mean, absolutely. I'm actually just so excited just because of just seeing how well Inglorious Blasters have been playing and playing to their strengths. They're coming in, they're playing fast, they're playing aggressive. That play of the game was really great because it showed a moment where Blackwatch did have that control. That was when they switched over to Lucio and their support to give them durability. And then the Hamster Inglorious Blasters was running after Lucio, gave them an opportunity to potentially get that point. And they almost lost it trying to go again on these 1v1 duels. So what I really want to see in map 3, as we're going into that, is I think Blackwatch really really need to just switch it up. I don't know how great the Widowmaker is of a pick when you're playing against a team like Inglorious Blasters. I don't know how strong of that is. That is obviously now we're heading into Coliseum, so that's going to be interesting to see how it is. That is a push map, so I don't know if this is going to lean too well into Blackwatch's favor, given how the other two maps have gone so far, just with the amount of firepower, the insane firepower that's coming out of Inglorious Blasters.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, right? Push is a complete trial of consistency. Your team has to constantly win out fights. If you win one big fight, you don't get any payload progress really in this sort of map style, especially once you've got some distance behind you already. And right now, the team that seems to be the more consistent has to be Inglorious Blasters, right? Is that they're winning more fights. They're winning 2 fights for every one. And right now, it doesn't even seem like they're winning fights. They're just taking jewels. And I think that's a big aspect right now, is I would love to see this Blackwatch side be able to take a big lump fight together, be able to get together, get something like you mentioned it earlier, a nice Reinhardt shield in the front line to make sure that Sterling has no purchase in the back line, no avenues to be able to put in that damage, and then the rest of the team can start dealing with Antiablo in the back line and Nick being an absolute nuisance for now.
Yeah, for sure. I think at the end of the day, Blackwatch just do need to switch it up. It's clearly just not working as is. Sure, you can make an argument that this is a new map mode, and as you said, with push, it's about that consistency. But if anything, that speaks further to going, hey, you're already not doing it consistently with the game plan you have. Try something new. And something you mentioned before as well, even going with the cheese pick. Take them by surprise. And Inglorious Blasters are obviously going to be feeling very good, feeling very confident, heading into map 3 already 2-0. Take them by surprise, do something that's going to shock them, that's going to force them off potentially some of their comfort picks. One thing you've pointed out already is like neutralizing the hamster. So it's a difficult thing to do for sure, but if that might be the game plan strategy, that would take Inglorious Blasters off their rhythm and off the comfort that they have. But again, as we said, we are going on to Coliseum. I think one of the looking at some of the high points here, or the key points for this map, is obviously health pack placements are pretty good. I think Blackwatch more than ever will really need that. Verticality is something that's powerful here as well. Potentially could put Farah back on a bit of a stronger pick for this map. But again, we'll have to see how Blackwatch can play up against the firepower really of Inglorious Blasters.
Well, Hissy unfortunately has just disconnected for a little bit. The PC died, so just going to have to wait for them to come back into this match. That's why we're not jumping in straight away for this. But you do mention, Hissy has been playing that Pharah pretty well. A couple of really nice direct rockets here and there. Sometimes just being pressured a little bit by everyone there makes it harder, but doing the job that they need to right now. Backed up by Lavius, who as well has been doing a lot of work. There just seems to be that extra 1 DPS that's coming out from Atsu on the side of Inglorious Blasters. I am very impressed as to the Lucio play here, and I mean, maybe going to be able to put in a lot of work in that central section. You've got that long straight sidelines, means that something like a something like a Zenyatta going to be able to put on the damage. And the big aspect of that, it means that with that Discord orb as well, it creates the extra little bit of burst potential for the backline. I would like to see someone like Hissy being able to use those tiny little gaps on the side of Coliseum in that central section to be able to kind of like pop up a little bit, hammer down a couple of rockets, and then go back down. It creates such a nice break between it. You see through them, you can identify your target, you come up, you hit them out, and then there's no one who can chase you back.
Yeah. No, look, I think we'll have to see sort of how that goes. Widowmaker as well could potentially be a bit of a stronger pick here. So I do think from map side, it does favor some of Blackwatch's comfort picks that we've seen so far. We'll have to see how it goes. Apparently, it seems everybody is in game and we're ready to head into map 3. Game 3, Inglorious Blasters 2-0. Looking more dominant in the second rounds of matches than they were in the first. So really all the pressures on Blackwatch to come back from this. Reverse sweep. It could happen. I'm also torn. I kind of don't want to otherwise, because load shedding and power supplies are quite low here on this side of the world for me. But look, I really do think Blackwatch have been playing as well as they can. I do think they can do it if they really just bring their focus in as a team, and a push is definitely, I think, the mode that will help them just kind of throw and shrug off. I always hear pros talk about when you're down 2-0, it's just one game. Just take everything one match at a time. And so they need to throw what happened in those previous 2 matches, and let's get the robot. That's the focus that needs to happen right now.
Yeah, control point was not a one-sided affair by any margins. Both teams taking that point back and forth. Blackwatch just looking for the secret, the key that they need to unlock this. And a very interesting change-up right now, and I quite like it. Elven Slayer going onto that Diva, meaning that you've got a lot more peel potential, a lot more damage mitigation if you need it. And then you've got someone like Vertigo on this Kiriko, able to cleanse up your team as the pile driver comes in. The big one for me being Lavius, though, as we do see an early kill coming out here. Lavius on this Hanzo means you've got some real big burst potential. Unfortunately, Inglorious Blasters not prepared to give any sort of space right now. Atsu going on to that DPS Moira that you were so excited to see earlier.
I was just saying, I am so happy that Atsu is absolutely giving us the battle Moira that we've been asking for. And when I say we, it's we that we're all together. I'm dragging everybody into this. We all wanted this. We needed this for this year. But no, as you see, Inglorious Blasters like already just really putting a lot of pressure on the map, kind of just going through with it. I think the 100 pick excites me. There's a bit more versatility than Widow, in the sense that you've got a lot more utility options for Hanzo to help the team sort of focus down. It's not showing off that well just yet. Again, the amount of firepower that's happening from Inglorious Blasters is just proving very, very difficult. I think the Moira pick, all jokes aside, is a great one from Glorious Blasters because, again, everybody's doing so well. It means that the healing isn't as big of a focus. I mean, they can have that Moira adding to the pressure and really just winning those 1v1 duels where they need to.
Yeah, 100% can keep up with this very mobile rest of the side here, can get out of dodge if the pressure starts coming in there. We did see Blackwatch actually pushing forward, putting on a lot of pressure. Double rockets from Hissy. That's 2 in a row. Beautiful way to execute the 2 supports there. Really nice start here, and it means that there's going to be pressure, and you can see the intent coming out right away. Hissy now charging forwards. We got some legs on Sterling, but Sterling just using those to get completely out of here right now. Doesn't want to hang around at all, and going to be leaving their tank to try and stall this out for a little bit. Has dropped the mines, so it's going to be difficult for those the payload to keep moving. And Lavius actually not respecting the fact that there was that damage behind it, means that it's going to be taken out. Hissy picks up this, keeps the momentum going. Inglorious Blasters once more under pressure, but it's going to be turned around. Sterling drops that tack visor, and with the coalescence as well from Atsu, it is going to be traded back. Blackwatch unable to get any real progress on this payload.
I really saw Blackwatch kind of coming in. There was such strength. I mean, Hissy, again, playing really, really well. They've been consistently great in the game across the different the different characters they've had. So they were doing really, really well, but unfortunately, it's just not enough. You see though that Inglorious Blasters have switched to a Lucio pick again to give the team a bit more of that durability, so that when those fights are happening that way, Blackwatch does get an edge where Hissy does pop off and come with some great kills. Unfortunately, it's just not enough to get the robot anywhere significantly. I mean, they just have 3 meters to their name, whereas you have Inglorious Blasters sitting there on 50. I had to lean in because I'm a boomer, and yeah, eyesight is hard. But yeah, I mean, unfortunately, it does feel like it's just a lot more of the same. Where Blackwatch, again, you know, they are playing well. It's you know, to their credit, it's not that they're making particularly bad plays or silly plays. It's just they're not having they're not able to really just deal with just how much firepower is coming out of Inglorious Blasters.
Yeah, and that firepower all coming out instantly together. I mean, we saw Blasters kind of spread out across the entire map there. Sterling taking a charge away there. And like you say, Atsu finally getting, yes, you get your kills in your Moira. So happy about that. I'm excited. But the big thing is that...
solo queue for everybody.
No, we're not talking about it anymore. That Moira doesn't need any more. No one needs to see this and start learning good, bad habits from them. But the big thing is Inglorious Blasters splitting up and then coming together, really utilizing that. Abracornicus dropping the beats at the end there meant that they had all the health, and it means Blackwatch executed summarily quickly. And once more, Nick back into the back line means that he's able to come back now. Oh, hits up onto the side. No real momentum to be able to come through there. Goes onto the bridge, which is a nice play to come out there. Atsu once more using this Discord orb now. Not the Discord orb, sorry. The Disharmony orb, I think it's called.
Yes.
Nice.
Disharmony. Look at you knowing the Moira play. Look at you, there you go. I knew you had a Moira love inside you. We were going to do it. That's really my goal for this year, is to get everybody to love more. But yeah, as we see, I mean, not too much is happening, to be honest with you. I think the kills are being traded here and there, but I mean, Inglorious Blasters has been looking really, really comfortable for the most part. And at this point, I think with the push mode, what's so difficult about this as well is all the pressure is going to be on Blackwatch to try to actually push the barrier back, not just to stop the momentum, but to actually reverse all that work that's gone into it.
Yeah, there's already a massive lead come out here from Inglorious Blasters. They're looking for one more fight, effectively, to be able to clinch out this map. There's still 4.5 minutes to be able to do that right now. And for Blackwatch, they're struggling to just get out of their spawn. Once more, it's Antioblo and Nick being able to pressure constantly into the back line here. Even Lavius changing back onto that Cassidy, not able to do anything like this. Atsu just holding around corners, able to just reinforce this team because he knows he can get back if they need to. And the rest of the time, the payload is making progress. It's just a couple of meters away right now. Antioblo gets another stick. And Blackwatch have to sit and wait, sit and cry as the payload and their chances of coming back in this match just start getting narrower and narrower.
That means that might have been probably the most dominant moment right there. I mean, just when you're sitting on the enemy spawn, they spawn base, just sitting at the door, just holding them back, and you still have the luxury of having a player to continue pushing the payload, or in this case, a robot. I mean, it's just too much firepower. And I really do think Blackwatch definitely switched it up. I think bringing in the Diva was a really great call to try to help soak up the pressure and the amount of firepower. But in the end, it is Inglorious Blasters eking the robot all the way on to complete the sweep of a 3-0 and what was a really, really dominant win. But again, not to say that Blackwatch didn't put in the work and didn't put in the effort, because they really did try.
Oh, even a little bit of credit coming out from Elvin Slayer saying, you guys are okay at the game. Just recognizing how good this Inglorious Blasters team is. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, both of these teams undefeated thus far this season. Both of them having picked up their 2 wins. And it is, though, Inglorious Blasters managing to secure that 3-0, sitting now in that first place. An amazing way for them to secure this, and a pretty dominant way to do it. You said it a couple of times. I am surprised at how one-sided that was, because, man, that was a powerful lineup to go against, and to be able to summarily do that means so far Inglorious Blasters and Beastie Boys neck and neck for that undefeated season.
Look, I think we've obviously it's clear to see. I mean, Inglorious Blasters did have a really, really strong showing today. But I think from the Blackwatch side, they're positives to take away from this game. There were definitely moments where they were neck and neck, where they were trading kills. When you're trading kills with a team as great as Inglorious Blasters, and as you said, Blackwatch didn't come into this game as underdogs either. I think really what it's about is going, cool, you had a strategy, you tried it, it didn't work, you kept it for 2 games, you started to switch it up, found a bit more success as you started to change those picks. Now it's like, cool, go back to the drawing board, know when you have to go up against Inglorious Blasters again, what are some of the different strategies that you might try to put out, because if it's going firepower for firepower, it's just not going to work. Unfortunately, Inglorious Blasters had just too much damage coming out from all different sides. I mean, there's Zenyatta as well, Atsu on that. I mean, from there to the Moira, I mean, it didn't matter. Kills were being had either way. So I really think Blackwatch did play well. They definitely showed themselves. I don't think the scoreline justifies entirely how dominant Inglorious Blasters were. I think Blackwatch just needed to relook their strategy, find ways to eke out an advantage over a top team.
Yeah, that's the big aspect and the big difference between it right now, is that Inglorious Blasters were relying on them being able to get more kills than their opponents much faster. That was the entirety of their game plan. It wasn't that we're going to stick together. It's not that we're comboing big ults. I mean, the ultimates back and forth, we're just kind of cleaning up team fights or eking out an early advantage in those. That was about it. It wasn't big set plays that they were doing, and it wasn't even big defensive plays that they were being forced into. It was just we're going to win this through pure duels. It's going to be interesting to see when Inglorious Blasters start coming up against a team like the Beastie Boys, who has a lot of DPS proficiency themselves, or if they start coming up against a team that just is able to support each other and come up with a strategy that's almost unbreakable. You throw something like a Maywall in there, or something like a Sombra that just disrupts the entire aggressive push that you're trying to get together so in such unison. If you can start disrupting that, if you can start separating all fights and then winning the micro team fights as a team, then Inglorious Blasters is going to be pressured a little bit more. But that's not the case tonight. A clean 3-0, and I think that they're going to go to bed very happy with the fact that they are going through to the next round with the most momentum they could possibly want.
No, absolutely. As you said, I think there are definitely some strategies there, some interesting things for other teams to kind of take a look at in terms of how to approach a team with, again, with as much firepower and DPS potential as Inglorious Blasters. So we'll have to see how it goes. I do want to make that point, though, when you talked about their strategy to seem to be kill them. It really takes you back to a guy, day nine, one of the, like an old esports personality in the StarCraft days. One of his strategies used to be like, people always go like, oh, I'm trying to think about this character and how they offset with this and like this strategy. Just kill them. Just kill them. Then you don't have to worry about strategy, because who needs strategy when HP is on 0? So I really think that Inglorious Blasters just took that mindset. As you said, they're like, oh, we've lost a point. Okay, just take it back. Oh, we're about to die. Okay, we'll kill them first. Like, that was really the strategy, and when it works, it looks great like this. But again, I think it will give teams some time to come up with cool strategies and hopefully make them sweat a lot more.
Yeah, it was great. And the whole idea there, get them to 0 HP. It worked so well. Every part of the team's really coming out here for Inglorious Blasters. We're not going to spend too much longer on this, but Atsu, a player that has suddenly earned my respect after not knowing them at all here today. An amazing way to show this off there. A really good play in the front lines coming out by the tank players to be able to run it through there, just kind of collapse upon everyone. Antiablo there to finish it off. It wasn't just Sterling, apologies. It wasn't just a single player, everyone coming together. There were the Mercy Reses coming out as well. So good to see everyone and such a team with individual skills that they can utilize together, each one at such a high level. This is a high power team and one to keep an eye on in the future. But as for tonight, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of week number 3. We have 2 teams so far qualified for that next round. A well played to Beastie Boys, and then of course joining them in the Inglorious Blasters for tonight. No one being knocked out just yet. Powered Up Possums currently on their 2 losses after this week, and definitely it takes 3 losses, remember, to be knocked out of this, and then a couple of other teams, 1 win, 1 loss here and there. High School Sword Corp, 2 losses as well right there. They have managed to pick up a win, so a little bit closer. Yeah, what's up, Peach? Sorry, I've got production in my background. Vartekloof, my apologies. There's a lot of high scores in the background there. HF Vartekloof, my apologies, there with 2 losses and 1 win. Doing my best here from abbreviations. That's all I get given in the background. Thanks, Peach.
Blame Peach.
Otherwise... But otherwise, so far, a really nice rounding out here. We're about halfway through this. Remember, about 5 weeks is probably what it's going to take to clinch up the Swiss stage, and then we get to move on to that playoff stage. So a bit of this power-up tournament still to come then. Dreamer, welcome on board. I hope you enjoyed your first cast. I hope we get to see you for the rest of it.
Absolutely. I'm super excited as long as Peach doesn't hate me and I didn't make a terrible show, then yes, absolutely would love to. I'm very excited to be a part of this. I think this is a great game to go into and just get a real good sense of the Overwatch community in ZA. Again, I've been a fan of it. I know there's a lot of amazing players. I'm excited to see the rest of the teams and see how the rest of the Power Cup sort of unfolds. But definitely enjoyed my time. Looking forward to staying back, coming back and watching some more great games.
There we go, 13 teams still in it, still in the running technically. A couple of them really struggling at this stage, but so far, actually, no, we do have an update. In fact, it's even better. No team having lost all 3 of their games right now. Power Possums did manage to win their 3rd game. Cryptic also with just the 1 win, and their 3rd game was a bye apparently. Pete's just changing the story completely. I'm just looking at a spreadsheet, man. I'm doing my best here. But everyone at least has 1 win.
On your toes on a Sunday night, eh?
I mean, it's 9 o'clock and there's load shedding everywhere. I'm just doing my best to keep track of this, but that's going to bring it, I think, before I get shouted at by Peach anymore. Big shout out to him for being able to bring this whole thing together. If it wasn't for him, this Power Up Cup really wouldn't be a thing. Big shout out, of course, to Dreamer, my co-caster for the night. I'm Ultrasm, if you don't know that by now. But otherwise, keep up to date with all the socials. The ZA Overwatch, Kauza Twitter, Z at ZA Overwatch. There, Dreamer, where can we find you? Actually, this is the first time we've seen you around.
Yeah, so you'll see my handle. For those of you who've known my old one, it's changed, but it's by Noir Dreamer. So it's B-Y, by, and then Noir, N-O-I-R. Dreamer, that's my handle across everything. So you can find me talking about various things around gaming and whatnot. But otherwise, yeah, this has been a lot of fun. And my power's about to go off because I've used up all of the load shedding solutions I've got at the moment. So yeah, literally 20% is actually exactly what I'm working with at the moment.
Well, we're going to say goodbye and wrap it up there for the night then, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Ultrazim, at Ultrazim. Follow me, catch up with all the rest of the action that's come in this week. And until then, keep safe, have fun, and avoid load shedding. It's not that fun. We'll see you next time.
Cheers, everybody.